In this brief presentation, I will show you how climate change, and especially drought, revealed itself in the last 3 years in the form of the drought in Brussel. It feels a bit strange in this very wet summer, but okay, it's about drought today. I will point out how the waterboard Brussel Delta, situated in the western part of the Netherlands, has coped with the drought and also making a transformational role in this governmental role. So I will show you that briefly. My name is Klaas Sloots. I work as a manager of strategy and planning for the water board, and my hydrologic roots are in Wageningen University, where I did my thesis in hydrology. So, as you will know, we will first go to the surface water system. And our system is, our main system is the market fleet water system, which, as you can see, the surface slope here is, the surface is from the higher part in the southern part and the low in the north. I made a trajectory line to show you the slope from about 10 meters plus sea level to sea level. If you look at the governmental point of view, our catchment area looks like this. But more in a hydrologic point of view, the real catchment area looks like this. And every presentation I saw today, there was this white line between Flanders and the Netherlands. So this is it. And it looks like almost a third of the catchment area, of our catchment area, is situated in Flanders. But for now, let's focus on the way drought in 2018, 19 and 20s have affected our landscape. As you probably know, our water board has 3 major tasks: prevent flooding, cleaning wastewater, and providing enough fresh water for every form of land use and also aquatic ecology. I will focus on the freshwater task. During the drought, we are struggling to keep the fresh water available for human, flora and fauna. We see brooks drying up with less flow velocities and increase in water temperature. The blue-green algae are thriving, preventing us from using the water for irrigation and secretion. In city areas, temperatures are rising quickly, without healthy green areas and enough surface water. And of course, the declining groundwater table causes drought stress for agriculture and nature. As you see, briefly, these are wetlands. This is a brook, it's not a road. Sugarcane and some crops are also having problems for the drought. So for a water board, for the water authority, what can we do? We can conserve surface water by putting down or closing our weirs. In that case, the minimum water that is available, we can keep it in the region. We can put bans on groundwater extraction. As you can see in the southern high parts of our region, in 2018 and also 1920, 100% ban on groundwater extraction was put out. And as you also can see in our northern parts, in the clay polders, we call it, with a surface level about sea level, there's enough water we can put in, you can take in to maintain irrigation. So there's no extraction ban. It's also not needed. Another thing we can do is we use mobile pumps to increase our water inlet capacity. And we try to get as much water high up the mountain, but it's not very hydrologic to do that. So, what we need is a water transition. And all presentations before me and before the break showed that we can measure the groundwater, we can calculate on it, we can predict it even. But we need a transition in our actions. And that is what is very necessary. But doing that, we also find ourselves with some dilemmas. We can preserve water and secrete the groundwater, but we also run the risk of flooding, because we have to keep the water level high to recharge the groundwater. Also, we have a reduction of groundwater use for irrigation and drinking water. And then the problem is, who will get the first priority? Professor Willem talks about it. And the last thing we face is intertwining spatial planning in the Netherlands, which has founded in socio-economic history, but it's not very logic. We see nature who needs groundwater lying next to the agricultural sector, which requires lower surface water levels. So that is our problem. This is the thing we face, and we have, as a water board, limited tools. And now, for your attention, I have a little puzzle for you. And I'm looking for a song. It's a very popular song. It's about making a transition. Anybody?
Man in the mirror.
I'll give a little hint.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Hydrologists are very good at water, but not at songs, I think. Or my sketch is not very good. It's looking at the man in the mirror. Good. We looked in a mirror and said, okay, if we want to make a transition, then we have to change. We have to take a bigger role in our governmental organization. We go from an operational and reticent organization towards an empowering social partner. And I will show you this figure, which is from Professor Martijn van der Steen. He has presented us 4 governance perspectives for an organization. I will briefly go through it. At the bottom left, you see the water board as a public administration, meaning that we focus mainly on our legal task. Then to the top right or top left, the water board as a new public management, focused on getting things done. And we do it from our own initiative. Then as we look to the right side, the axis on outside-in way of thinking, we see the water board as a societal resilient organization, enabling third parties getting things done and lending a helping hand. And the top right, and that is where we need to put extra effort in, is the network organization. And in this scheme, I have plotted our measures of operating. First of all, in our role as public administrator, we will revise the groundwater extraction policies. We will make further plans to adjust surface water levels for groundwater depletion. As a new public management, we build weirs and restore meandering in several brooks to keep the water from flowing away. Besides the results in the fields, we're also working on a pilot for deep infiltration, for groundwater depletion. We have composed a map in which we presented promising measures for different parts of the regions, the high parts, the middle parts, and the lower parts. We also increase our cooperation with other parties in getting things done. And last but not least, we are putting a lot of effort in our network. And here you see a network with a lot of parties, also the Flanders parties, of course, because we are one catchment area. And I will focus on this particular role in the next slide. I will not ask you to read all those little signs, but it's a lot. And from more than 10 parties in Brabant, we work together very close with the province and the other water boards to a multi-party party covenant, which each party plays its own role. And each party also has its own results to obtain. And that is, I think, the key factor in the success, that you can put results to one party. And that will, by addressing that specific measurement to each party, the progression can be made visible. And that gives a push towards what I would think is the needed transition for the entire system. Apart from this Brabant-orientated groundwater covenant, I misspelled it, I see, there is also other networks, and I will briefly show it to you. We have, of course, the national Delta program in the Netherlands, which looks like a bit like Blue Deal program in Flanders. There's a strategy toward the climate-proof Netherlands, and the program consists of funding projects and research for to gain in especially drought situations for today. Internationally, we have the Interreg program, strategy toward the climate-proof Europe, and also stimulating funding projects. Pro water, the market approach is a good example. The Triple C takes into account the water quality, and of course, International Health Commission and the National News Commission. So, this is more or less our role as a water board and the network we are living. So, as we can see, before I make a conclusion, it's very good to measure, it's very good to understand the system, it's very good to be able to model and to be able to predict, but it's also very good to find the close to the policy makers, what do they need for information and how can we work together, because measuring, predicting is one end of the line, but being able to take actions and the right actions is the other one. And that is why we as a water board, we keep on focusing on our task, we keep expanding our role as empowering social partners, so we have 4 checks in the scheme. We work together, we work on specific projects with visible results, and we think climate change is here to stay. We have to make a transition. Or like Michael Jackson put it, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. And now you all can sing. Thank you.